It's just not baked in fully.
But like I said, I don't.
Recording in progress.
When I went on maternity leave, did I not get the?
Is your Wi-Fi seen
Makes
outside?
sense.
I don't know if I'm missing any.
Totally makes sense. Thank you for that.
Just kind of a sneak peek of what's going on.
Yeah.
You getting responses? Work on responses to my
How are you?
concerns.
It's been a Monday.
I feel that way, right to the toenail.
To the toenail, I
To
like that. There
the
you go.
toenail.
Good seeing place on the computer. I do too.
Need some lenses.
Yeah. Good, I keep putting it off.
Good evening. We will call the Auburn Study Session meeting for Monday, February 9th, 2026 to order. Tonight's study session meeting will be held both in person and virtually. Sean, can you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Tracy Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Ammer.
Here.
Councilmember Brian Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember Lott.
Here.
Councilmember Riggs.
Here.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton Taylor.
Here.
Thank you, Sean. Any agenda modifications for this evening?
No, Chair.
So we get down to no announcements, reports, presentations, and municipal services discussion items also seem to be pretty much taken care of. So we'll get right into our agenda items for tonight. Ordinance number 7012, Director Thomas.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Mayor, and Council. I'm here to talk about Ordinance 7012. This is this exact same ordinance that I bring to you every year. This is actually our 17th year coming with this ordinance, and it is to reenact a portion of the state's sales tax that they collect in Auburn, and this is us trying to levy back a very small percentage of the state sales tax to use for some of our debt service financing. So as history goes, back in 2009, the state had passed a bill that allowed local revitalization finance areas within cities. So we designated areas within our cities that we wanted to revitalize, and we could issue debt. And as long as we could prove that the amount of new sales tax at these revitalized areas would produce at least $250,000 or more to the state's portion of the sales tax that they would be collecting, they said for 25 years we could collect $250,000 a year back from them to help pay for the bonds and whatever financing it took to do that revitalization. So in 2009, the city had designated a local revitalization finance area here in downtown. The state approved it. Subsequently in 2010, the city had issued $7.24 million in bonds to do the work in the downtown area. And as of December 31st, 2025, we still have $2.94 million outstanding on those loans or on those bonds. We did refinance in 2020 at a much lower interest rate when the interest rate the market was favorable. So our annual debt service is about $270,000. So the lion's share of this sales tax, the $250,000 pays for our debt service. We do supplement a little bit with some of our REIT funding, which is also an allowable use of our REIT funding. But just to reiterate, this is not an additional tax, an additional sales tax. It is not a City of Auburn sales tax. It is a portion of the state sales tax that they already levy, and we're just clawing back a small portion of what they collect.
Open for questions. Council, any questions for Director Thomas? Councilmember Lott.
Since this is an estimated 250, what happens if there's a shortfall for some reason?
So what we do is we back into the rate that we are levying from the state's share, and we always overestimate what that rate is going to be from the state share. So it always will exceed what that 0.014% of the state share would actually, we expect that the tax rate is gonna actually be much lower. So that 0.014% would produce more than $250,000, but of course we're capped at $250,000, so they won't send us more than $250,000. So we always back into that rate at a very conservative level, and even through recession, we've never not collected the full $250,000.
Any other questions for Director Thomas? Councilmember Sturgis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So it looks like we've got 8 more years around that for the 25 years that it's available. What do we do to start preparing for the end of that 25th year?
The way we structured it is that our debt service was a 25-year debt service. So it'll be paid off at the end.
Okay. We won't need to look for additional opportunities and
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yeah, for folks who may be newer to Auburn, when we did that action for promenade capital improvements, what all did we consider included in that?
It was a lot of the sidewalk, the road reconstruction and the sidewalk development between Division and Auburn, along Division and the Auburn, or not Auburn Way, but Auburn Avenue. In that, there's like a little triangular area. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Thomas? All right, well, since you're up there, how about resolution number 5889?
All right. So this is actually a resolution that we bring every 3 years to council just for renewal and just refamiliarization with some of our financial policies. But this is the council giving us authority to transfer cash from either the general fund or our cumulative reserve fund, which we call our savings account fund, to any other fund that is having a cash flow shortage if it meets one of a couple of criteria. So if it is a fund, and just for context, we do have 25 funds in the city. So we have a lot of different lines of businesses throughout the city, all responsible for providing all sorts of different types of services and very specific projects, if you will, for the city. So sometimes there are funds that are more reliant on grant funds and the reimbursement of very specific special revenue type funds. And since those are always reimbursement basis, this gives us the authority to move cash from our general fund or our cumulative reserve fund for cash flow purposes in those other funds so they don't go negative cash while they're waiting for the reimbursement of other sources. So this would only be a transfer if we know for sure that the money is coming, that it is a budgeted and planned resource, that just timing has created a cash flow deficiency. It's limited to $2.5 million in total interfund loan, and that money would be immediately transferred back to the general fund or the cumulative reserve fund once the reimbursement funds have been received. And I think that it's really important to note that there is a law that one fund cannot benefit for another. So we would never do this as a financing source into another fund. So we couldn't allow, if one fund has a shortage of revenue or it was a financing source from another fund, we could not do that unless we also charged interest. So there are mechanisms in which we could structure a loan for the general fund or the cumulative reserve fund to loan money to another fund on a short period, a 1 to 3 year time frame, but interest always needs to be included because it would be like a business loan, but this does not cover those types of situations that would warrant a separate resolution and agreement to lend money or lend credit to another fund. This is simply a cash flow and timing interfund transaction.
Questions for Director Thomas, Council? No questions? Councilmember Baldwin?
Sorry. A little delayed on my end. For this financial policy, is there anything that would warrant including just notification of any transfers under the policy so council's aware as they're taking place? Like
We
a
don't.
consent agenda or, something informational?
We don't have a policy that does that, but 3 years ago, you asked that same question and I told you that we would let you know if that ever happened. It hasn't happened since, so as that's an indicator of how often we do these interfund loans, we just don't. It was much more common when we had a separate CDBG fund and the primary activity was CDBG revenue and CDB expenditures, but now all of that activity takes place in the general fund anyways. So that since that fund doesn't exist anymore, we haven't had a need for an interfund loan since the last time we brought this resolution to council for consideration.
Thought it was a good idea then, I think
Yes.
it's a good idea now.
Any other questions for Director Thomas? No? Thank you,
Thank
Director
you.
Thomas, appreciate it. So now this is the section on the agenda where council can share topics of interest and/or reports on our special focus area matters. Report should be limited to about 5 minutes, and we'll start with Councilmember Ammer.
I have no report.
Councilmember Taylor.
No report.
Councilmember Lott.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Just a few brief items. Did meet with our moderator, planned for the leadership retreat. Also attended the SCA board and committee orientation last Wednesday. Received a demo from a group called Polymorphic that uses AI to assist with call screening or call intake and supports about 40 different languages. Using information from our website to provide direct responses, which was interesting, and also helped as a ticket taker for the Miss Auburn pageant we had this past weekend.
And it's fabulous.
And that is my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Baldwin. Councilmember Rakes.
The only thing I have was, I just got appointed to the NLC, the Committee for Community Development and Economic Development, so I'm happy about that. I was able to be a judge at the Miss Auburn pageant, and it was a fantastic day. We just had a lot of fun, and I encourage any council that wanted to sign up for that. And I think I'll just let our chair talk about our municipal meeting today.
Councilmember Sturgis.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We didn't have a formal agenda items tonight for municipal services. However, we've got a few informal items just for awareness purposes. We did hold our bi-monthly municipal services SFA meeting earlier today at 3:00. And we focused that time on planning and preparation for April and June's agendas for study sessions. Realizing that we needed to change the calendar to ensure that our SFA meetings were happening at least 2 weeks prior to when we're on the study council agenda going forward. So we've got that changed and we're ready to go going forward. This was my first meeting as chair, so that was really awesome. Everybody was very kind and forgiving. And as usual, really strong cross-departmental participation. And thank you to Melissa for getting the calendar changed. Chief Collier shared a quick update that's coming in the March 9th meeting that is not going to be under municipal services. It's actually under public works, is the police building study. So that'll be coming to council. They have a due date of March 31st, so that gets it to us in time. And also we had some discussion around the sales tax increase, and Chief Collier had submitted our grant application January 9th, and they have 45 days to get back to us. Obviously, we've had lots of discussion about the challenges there and getting approval, but it sounds like Kent just provisionally got approved, which is like the first one, so that's exciting. And then Citizens Academy, we are recruiting for Citizens Academy. Its spring class is coming up in March, and we need about 15 to 20 community members to sign up for that in order for it to be really beneficial and valuable. So with communications was great in talking about some creative ways to add that out in the mayor's communications. And then Director Martinson provided a brief update regarding the court. And next steps with, there's four candidates, four final candidates that are being interviewed for judge, and hopefully sometime in March, probably March 16th, she's going to follow up with you, Mayor, and legal to figure out the appropriate process for how does council get preliminary review before having to confirm the candidate that mayor decides to appoint. So more coming on that. And then for April 13th and June 8th meetings, topics that we talked through for the agenda that we felt would be most helpful is they're in development, so each department will come with their preparation, but Emergency Management, Office of Emergency Management plans to work with Parks and Rec to give a kind of after action item update, recovery summary on impacts from the December floods. And then public safety, every April, Chief Collier, the APD gives an annual reporting update, so that will happen. We also talked about an update on the Officer Wellness Program and all the successes and growth that's happened over the last several years. And then again, there'll be more court updates and park updates. So that's what we have.
Fabulous. Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, for the report out, myself along with Vice Chair Baldwin met with Directors Galb, Kruger, and Crum for our monthly Public Works and Community Development Special Focus Area meeting. Directors provided us some summaries of various items anticipated to come forward to council in the next week or next several months. 19 items I identified to date and more coming. And among those were March special focus area and items for council action and discussion in meetings in February and March. Items of note include the BESS code update, a code compliance review, opportunity for grant for the next airport hangar enclosure projects, and comprehensive safety action plan updates, and a For Culture grant for the theater. Also, I want to invite the public, for those of you that are interested in downtown, our Economic and Community Development team have put together their standards and zoning code updates. It's an open house. It is your chance to be a part of the change and then the shape of the future. That'll be held here on Wednesday, February 11th from 4 to 6 in City Hall. Again, Mayor's State of the City address will be at Muckleshoot Casino Event Center on February 25th. And forgive me, I took notes this morning because I had a lot of thoughts about this upcoming leadership retreat. So next week, our council is going to take part in a leadership retreat focused on what's ahead for Auburn. This is going to be focused on budget and how we work together as a governing body. These conversations matter. They give us space to step back, ask better questions, and strengthen how we show up for our community and for one another. I want to thank the staff for the time, the care, and the coordination that they put into this, and into all of this. Aligning 7 people's schedule is not a small task, and we were given ample amount of notice to make this happen. As a matter of fact, communications went out as of November 18th. Participation possible, and of course, that effort deserves recognition because, quite frankly, it's such a haul to get all 7 of us together. While not everyone will be taking part in this leadership retreat, we'll miss you, Councilmember Lott. Super grateful to those who will be there and staff who will continue to do the hard work behind the scenes and work to support a effective and collaborative leadership. You know, at the end of the day, our community benefits from us when we work together, engage, listen, and do the work. So I'm looking forward to our leadership retreat coming up next week. And with that, this meeting is